Before I start this, I'd like to announce that there will be major spoilers for the game Expedition 33, as well as the story of the character of Maelle. Also, if you have the time after the video, do check out my friend's Twitch. I'll put it in the description, and just drop him a follow, even give him a watch or something. It'd be greatly appreciated, thank you. Like one big foul swoop, Expedition 33 has absolutely shaken my top 5 game rankings, as this game has become my favourite game of all time. A godlike entity decides the age limit by lowering it year by year, and as a Hail Mary, the people of Lumiere send out team after team to stop the Paintress, a meticulously chosen name for her literal and metaphorical way of painting life as well as death. Someone who is deeply engrossed in creative and interesting stories like this, I was already captivated. However, as much as I'd love to unravel the overarching story of the game, I'd like to focus this video on the youngest expeditioner Maelle, as well as the underlying theme of unhealthy escapism deeply rooted within her character. Maelle is demonstrated swiftly in the opening cutscene with our lead for the time, Gustav, who is an adoptive father figure as well as a brother for her, filling that void of family connection for her with a 2-for-1 offer. She decides to join Expedition 33, despite only being 16. She has a good few years until her gamage, but is willing to sacrifice the few years she has left to accompany the expeditioners. But most of you already know that, as I have left a spoiler warning, but for those of you who are unaware, the expedition they voyage with goes tremendously wrong. Along the way we meet Lune, Ciel, Monoko, and Maelle, obviously, who we find in a Victorian-esque mansion along the way as we make our way to the Paintress. Interestingly with Maelle, she got the princess treatment and has acquired shelter within the mansion through the curator, who takes her under his wing while even offering services such as training, potentially ensuring her survival for the tribulations ahead. The team then make their way through the gestural village and meet Escapism. A big lovable pillow who can rival your average power scaler's favourite anime slop. SK, I'd argue, is vital for Maelle's growth, but we'll get to that when the time comes.
Does it really matter?
Well, you know, like I always say, it's not about the rock. It's more about the...
Run. Just like that, Maelle has lost her father figure, her brother in arms, in a devastating blow inflicted by the man who started it all. She has lost her world, her only bit of family in this difficult and unpredictable world. Throughout Act 1, hints of Maelle's connection to the bigger picture have sprouted and taken root. With the loss of Gustav, she seems broken. The girl she once was has shattered and broken into pieces of herself, a canvas tainted with devastation. An unknown entity to us and the characters, the curator, seems to have a connection with her, and he even dwells in the cancel grade resources. And additionally, a girl who accompanied Verso against Renoir had a striking resemblance to Maelle. They watched as our own Maelle's world shook. At this time, Maelle finds comfort within Esquier, offering a long, warm hug like the big plush he is, and Act 2 shortly begins. Throughout Act 2, the expeditioners slowly learn more about Verso and his connections to Renoir. And also, there's a lot of little motifs about a fire. You get a lot of upgrade skills, which essentially connote to burning damage. It sort of plays a big part later, so I thought I'd mention that now, just to get it out of the way. Act 2 is much more about Verso than it is Maelle, but they both have a lot of story things in common. However, this is more a video about Maelle's unhealthy way of escaping reality, really, but we will probably do a video on Verso another time. But before their final push, a letter from Alicia is handed to Verso after the Axon fights.
Brother, I tire of the conflicts and deceptions that plague our family and theirs. So, I entrust you with this letter. Whether you give it to her is up to you. I'm at peace with what's to come. When the time comes, I hope you will be too. Maelle, it's a strange feeling watching you with my brother, laughing and smiling, without the scars or the memories that afflict me. Alicia, as she was meant to be, not this painted version that I am. My family, a facsimile of yours, and this world, a mirror, painted by your mother, the paintress, to stave off her grief. Seeing your expedition through would plunge us all into the abyss. For in ridding the world of the paintress, you'd lose the sole force standing against the one who would erase us, the one who invokes the flowers of the Gamache. An act of love, for he does love her. Your father. On her monolith, she paints a warning for us all, of the few she can save as her power wanes. We all wish for our families to thrive. Your family, however, believes only one can survive. But perhaps you'll find another way. You who have lived amongst us, perhaps you differ from your father and your sister, as I differ from mine. Your mother paints life, whilst your father, death. What will you paint?
Maelle is a painter. She has the same powers as Renoir and Aline. She uses these canvas created for the world, which holds Verso's last part of his soul as a form of escapism, to forget about the horrible truth of her reality, that her brother Verso had died in a fire saving Alicia. If you didn't catch from the hints, by the way, Alicia is the real version of Maelle. She was reborn within the canvas as Maelle, who we see on our team. Maelle does not want to let go of the last bit of Verso she has left, stuck in a perpetual cycle of grief alongside her mother, trapped in this canvas with Renoir for 67 years. Alicia's way of acquiring this escapism is most certainly unhealthy, as it is tearing her real family apart, although she feels that this canvas is the only place where she feels accepted and comfortable. As the burn damage is life-altering for her, she can find her voice again in this fantasy.
Alicia.
Actually, I prefer Maelle.
I think I do too. But I'm not really Verso, and you're not really Maelle, are you?
You're not Verso, no. You look and sound just like him, but you're you.
Act 3 begins, and now we're back in the canvas. Alicia dons the mask of Maelle within the canvas, stating that she prefers to be called Maelle to further escape from the real world. And after the Gamage, which wiped out everybody since the Paintress was vanquished, her and Verso have a disagreement. Verso knew all along about the truth of her identity, and now that Maelle knows, it's all a fabrication. Verso doesn't want to live on, and wants his sister to move on from this twisted form of escapism. Maelle insists that he is not make-believe to me, when in actual fact, Verso's soul seeks serenity and to lay rest.
But I'm glad you
Staying here so long in a make-believe world with her make-believe family.
It's not make-believe. It's not. You're not to me.
Renoir is revealed to be the curator at this stage, which explains the watchful nature of him and his desire to protect his daughter Alicia. Rather than being a clear antagonist, Renoir is genuinely a broken man who only seeks that his family is reunited and fixed again. He is adamant on the fact that this canvas containing his son's soul should be erased, as the grief is slowly eating away at his family. For the sake of the living, we must part with the dead. Acceptance is key within moving on and saying goodbye. Grief is killing the Descendant family, and Maelle's desperate want to cling on to this make-believe world is destroying her father. With Esquier swooping in at the time he did, not only was he badass, but after the rift between her and her father, Esquier serves his purpose as a form of real comfort for Maelle, with the comfort of Esquier being a healthy form of escapism. I'm going to jump far ahead with this, but with the Verso ending, spoilers obviously if you haven't and want to see it, but Esquier is revealed to be a plush Maelle clings onto at her brother's grave, hugging onto him tightly as she did in Act 1 within the canvas. Having something like Esquier, whether it be a partner or as simple as a childhood plush, is a rare example in this game of a healthy form of escapism. She confides her emotions within Esquier. Also, side note, once I saw that Esquier was Alicia's plush, I genuinely burst into tears due to how genuinely tragic and devastating that is. With him being a plush, I inferred that Verso would tell Maelle bedtime stories, using Esquier as a scaffolding for the stories, which I believe is further supported within the quote, I have perfected the art of napping, all the way back in Act 1. Therefore, Esquier as a concept and as an emotional outlet for Maelle is a healthy way of escapism, as well as remembering a part of her brother. To view it as when Maelle was younger, Verso would help her rest by using Esquier as a narrative for bedtime stories, as she holds him close during the ending scene. And with Esquier's voice within the canvas, it is really quite soothing and relaxing, as if he actually did perfect the art of napping. For the final story boss in the game, you fight off Renoir as he desperately tries to defeat the expedition, with Maelle dealing the killing blow. Verso traverses through the canvas. It's up to the player to decide which path they desire, the push to move on, or the want for a better, although fabricated, existence.
Keep the light on for you.
It is important to discuss both endings, however, as this is a video on escapism, and oh boy is she up shit's creek without a paddle with the Maelle ending. She uses her power to paint and create the perfect scenario for herself, essentially daily, living in her head. It kind of reminds me of another game. Gustav is here and alive. Everybody is within the music hall watching Verso perform, although he looks longingly and almost defeated at Maelle. He failed as a brother to pull his sister out of this unhealthy fantasy. Her face contorted and withered, slowly dying in the canvas, as her father had warned her about. Her real home is without its youngest daughter, forever and slowly dying in her own make-believe world. This face is genuinely haunting. Her naive and blissful desire to escape from what's happened in the real world communicates to the audience that she would rather wither away than accept the loss of her brother. Verso, seeing this, he timidly and readies a song, named Maelle in the OST, and performs the scene cuts to black, with a leitmotif of Alicia in the piece, a potential last-ditch effort to pull her out of the canvas, or more likely to me, express his sorrow and grief through his preferred art of music.
You've got this incredible power to paint. You'll never have to suffer a life you don't want. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay.
Personally, I see the Verso ending as the canon ending, as though it is a hard last goodbye. Maelle parts with Verso, his comforting words being "you're okay" as she parts from the canvas. Verso takes the decayed boy's hand and finally puts his soul to rest. Her cycle of grief and suffering ends with an emotional send-off, words she needed to hear from her long-departed brother. Maelle reunites with her real family as they all pay their respects to Verso, finally breaking out their escapist mindset and tackling the grief head-on. While escapism can be useful in the sense of forgetting the bad, the dishonored of family grief was tearing them apart, trapped in the canvas, living through a fantasy. Acceptance is the hardest step of suffering from loss, and as a family they have moved on, letting Verso finally rest.
I will miss you guys.
What happened to Maelle is tragic. Her character and her obstacles still play on my mind even after finishing the game. There's no doubt that the overarching story is about grief and acceptance, although I view the canvas as a drug, an addiction due to loss. It slowly kills those who spend too long consuming the contents of it, and right there is an unhealthy addiction. The intentions of Maelle are innocent, and the mother's grief is monolithic, but Renoir, and to an extent Claire, understand the difficulty of moving on. Renoir especially tries to help, but he comes across as ruthless and villainous despite his intentions. Healthy escapism within her story is definitely few and far between. Genuinely, I think Escape is the only healthy way of tackling loss, as well as finally facing the faction heading onto the Verso ending. So, to conclude, don't turn to drugs in terrible times, although they may seem like a wonderful way to escape the dread of society. Maelle has suffered greatly, feeling as though she has nothing left with her voice gone and brutal per marks. But to me, she finally breaks out of the cycle of grief, and with her newly found talent as a painter, she can finally prosper and reach the stars as her father had dreamed of her to do.
Maelle.